Good morning, class. Today we will be covering three main topics: precipitation, fronts, and airlifting and the process of airlifting. The formation of precipitation has two main processes. We will begin by covering the Bergeron process. This occurs in tall clouds, cumulonimbus clouds. The temperature must be below freezing. This can be as low as negative 40 degrees Celsius. Liquid water at below freezing temperatures is referred to as supercooled, which can either become solid or freeze up upon impact with other objects. This happens because ice crystals are forming at a faster rate than droplets. Saturation vapor pressure relative to ice is lower than water. This process eventually creates ice crystals big enough to fall as snowflakes, as the ice crystals can either become larger if they intercept with supercooled droplets, or it can fall as rain if the surface temperature is 4 degrees Celsius or higher. The second process of precipitation is collision coalescence process. This form of precipitation can take place in lower clouds or in clouds below the freezing point. In these clouds, the droplets collide and can sometimes form very big droplets. As these large droplets fall, they break apart due to the friction and air resistance. We will cover four forms of precipitation: snow, rain, sleet, and hail. Snow is a solid. Precipitation, it is a precipitation form of ice crystals, otherwise known as snowflakes. The size, shape, and concentration of snowflakes depends to a great extent on temperature at which they form. Rain is a liquid, drops of water that fall from a cloud and have a diameter of at least half a millimeter. Sleet is also a solid. It's small, spherical to lumpy ice particles that form when raindrops freeze while falling through a layer of sub-freezing air. Hail is a solid precipitation in the form of hard, round pellets or irregular lumps of ice, produced in large cumulonimbus clouds, where frozen ice particles and supercooled water coexist. We will cover now fronts. There are four different types of fronts. We're going to begin with the cold front. Cold front is cold air that moves towards warm air. This cold air moves under the warm air, which forces then the warm air to rise. During a cold front, there is a greater chance of precipitation, but it's of shorter duration. A warm front is warm air that moves over the cold air. So the warm air pushes over the cold air. This creates clouds and storms. This can bring warm and moist air. Precipitation is heavy, but again, for only a short duration. A stationary front during a stationary front, neither cold air or warm air moves. So, neither air mass has the force to move the other. During stationary fronts, you should expect gentle to moderate precipitation. Oculated front is where cold, warm, and cool air meet. You can see how the cold air are coming from two opposite sides and are meeting with the warm air, which is then pushing the warm air upwards. You could expect strong winds and heavy precipitation during oculated fronts. Lifting air is important because airlifting forms clouds, which then in turn forms rain, which is very important for our living. I'm going to cover two different processes of airlifting. Convergence lifting. A pile of horizontal air flows in an upward movement. Air flows from different directions and then collides and forced to move upwards. Frontal wedging is masses of warm and cold air that collide, which make a front. Cooler and denser air act as barriers, such like a mountain, and force air to rise. This causes precipitation.